Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Badgers Burrow. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the Hall of Fame voting for the MLB. There's a lot of controversy in this year's ballot, so I'm going to cover some of that today. If you guys do go on to enjoy the video, please consider liking and subscribing. It really means a lot, and it keeps me motivated to keep making content like this. And also comment down below your thoughts on today's voting, or this year's voting, and any other videos you want to see me cover. Hope you guys enjoy. Alright, so for those of you who don't know, the MLB Hall of Fame balloting works like this. After a specified number of years after a player's retirement, they get 10 years on the Hall of Fame ballot. If they do not reach 71, I believe, percent of the votes, they do not make it to the Hall of Fame. You have 10 years to hit 70%, 70-odd percent in any given year. And so in this video, we're going to be talking about the guys who are near the end of their ballot. There's 4 guys I'm going to be talking about in specific. The 3 big ones who are on their who this year was their 9th year, and another guy who I think should make it, who just finished his 8th year of balloting. In my opinion, all 4 guys should make the Hall of Fame, but we're in the situation where I don't believe any of them will, and that is an absolute shame to Major League Baseball and these players' careers. We're going to start with the big 3. That would be Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, and Curt Schilling. We're going to start with Curt because, you can kind of group Bonds and Clemens together. It is a damn shame that Curt Schilling is not in the Hall of Fame. And it's not because of his career. Curt Schilling was an incredible pitcher. Late 90s, early 2000s. He was one of the most clutch postseason pitchers of all time, especially during the 2004 postseason in which the Red Sox took it home. And, he was instrumental in those teams' success. Most people remember him for his bloody sock game. He had a couple stitches that came undone while he was pitching. His sock was obviously covered in blood. He pitched through, got the win. But, Curt Schilling was an incredible pitcher. All time, he is 26th ranked in wins above replacement, which is really the key stat in baseball that people don't talk about a lot. But it's called WAR, and it's one of the most important stats. It's how well you do versus the next guy up. He was also top 40 in wins. In wins, I'm not sure, but he was top 40. And, also top 50 in strikeouts. So, Curt Schilling was a beast. And it's a true shame that he's not going to make the Hall of Fame. He said that he wants to be taken off the ballot because he hasn't made it in yet. That's not going to happen. That's not how the rules work. But, Curt Schilling is going to miss out on the Hall of Fame because of his out-of-field problems. And for me, that's unacceptable. I understand that Curt Schilling has said some extremely insensitive stuff, and I would be lying to say anything to the contrary. But the fact of the matter is, you should not be judging a guy based off what he did after his career ended, off the field. I just don't agree with it. He's obviously one of the best pitchers ever. And he should 100% be in the Hall of Fame. And I think he is a guaranteed Hall of Famer. Maybe even first ballot if it isn't for all this off-this-field stuff. And I know he's made some extremely insensitive political remarks. Mostly political, because nowadays everything seems to be political. But it's a true shame that Schilling's not going to make the Hall of Fame because of stuff he said outside of the game. I'm not saying that he should be rewarded. Absolutely not. But he shouldn't be punished for a career-based achievement. That's my opinion on Schilling. I'm not gonna back any of his statements. I haven't really read most of them, but from what I've seen, it's pretty insensitive, to put it mildly. But the fact of the matter is, if you let his on-the-field play speak for itself, he should no doubt be a Hall of Famer. And the ballots, the voters are not accepting that. And it's a shame to the Hall. We're now going to move on to Bonds and Clemens. These two and Schilling. This year was their ninth year on the ballot, so next year is their final chance to make the MLB Hall of Fame. And Bonds and Clemens 100% should make it. We're going to start with Clemens first. He was a better pitcher than Schilling. He just was. His numbers are there. His success is there. And, the only thing that is holding him back, and we all know this, is steroids. Yay, steroids. We love steroids in baseball. Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds are two of the big figures of the steroid era, including Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa, who are, I believe McGwire has already gotten his 10 years and didn't make it. Sosa is about to finish his 10 years, and he's nowhere close to making it. But, Clemens is close. I believe in this year's voting, Schilling, Bonds, and Clemens were all over 65%, which is extremely close to induction. And I think that I keep saying this word, but it's a shame that these guys aren't going to make it because of, their participation in the steroid era. And, obviously they should be punished for that. I believe they have been punished for that. But I don't think you can leave guys out of the Hall of Fame for this. I think that it is ridiculous that these guys aren't in it. And Roger Clemens, a great pitcher for the Red Sox, for the Yankees, multiple other teams, but he should be in the Hall. No doubt about it. And then we move on to Barry Bonds, who is, the greatest hitter ever. Yeah, it was probably because of steroids, but, the dude mashed 762 homers. Like, that's ridiculous. Obviously it was from steroids. Like, I'd be a fool not to admit that, but he's the greatest hitter this planet has ever seen. Pure? No. But the fact of the matter is, he's the all-time home run leader. He's got thousands of RBIs, almost in the 3,000 hit club. And, people were genuinely petrified to face him. He had more intentional walks than most franchises. And that's ridiculous. And I know that it's because of steroids, but that shouldn't take away how gifted this guy was. Like, I know the steroids helped a lot, but this dude was basically immortal in the batting box. You did not want to face this guy. Pitchers, they're nightmares. We're seeing Barry Bonds step in with the bases loaded. That's just not a recipe for success, and most times they walked him for it. So I'm extremely saddened that Bonds is not going to make the Hall of Fame. He should make the Hall of Fame regardless of his steroid use. Yeah, it's fine. You make him wait till his 9th or 10th ballot. Okay, whatever. But there's no doubt in my mind he should be a Hall of Famer. And if I had a ballot, all three of these guys would be on it without a shadow of a doubt. Like I said, Barry Bonds is the greatest hitter in the history of Major League Baseball. And Curt Schilling and Roger Clemens are two of the elite pitchers in the history of Major League Baseball. I understand how bad steroids were. It's cheating. It ruined the league for about 20 years. But you have to let these guys in the Hall of Fame. Come on. It's not like everyone played a clean career. These guys just got caught more than the others. And this is a bad example, but you have guys in the NFL that are going to make the Hall of Fame who cheated too. Sean Payton's going to make it, even though he was in Bountygate. Belichick's going to make it. He's still the greatest coach ever, despite his Spygate and other scandals. Tom Brady, allegedly deflated the air in footballs. He's still the greatest player ever and will make the Hall of Fame. But in baseball, something's different, and I don't like it. I think that Bonds, Clemens, and Schilling should all 100% be a Hall of Famer. And I'm going to be really saddened if next year they do not make it on their 10th ballot. Speaking of steroid users, we're going to see a really interesting ballot next year because Alex Rodriguez, known steroid user, everyone knows about A-Fraud, and David Ortiz, who allegedly used steroids in his career. These guys are entering the ballot. Next year is going to be their first year in 2022. And I think it's going to be extremely interesting to see the percentage of the votes that those two get versus Bonds and Clemens. Obviously these guys do more off the field. They're working with Fox or CBS or whatever. But it's going to be interesting to see if these guys are going to be punished for their steroid use, especially A-Fraud, versus Bonds and Clemens. And I think that is something that we really need to look at because, in my opinion, Ortiz should definitely be a Hall of Famer. I mean, I'm literally wearing his jersey right now. A-Rod probably should too. I hate the guy. I absolutely despise the guy, but he should be a Hall of Famer. All these guys should be a Hall of Famer. So that's gonna kind of sum up my thoughts on the steroid users being intentionally left out of the Hall of Fame. So I'm gonna move on to another guy who did not get the votes, and he's not going to get the votes. It's Jeff Kent. Jeff Kent has 2 more years on his ballot. This was his 8th. Former MVP of the MLB and the all-time home run leader for his position of second base. Jeff Kent's the greatest power-hitting second baseman of all time. And it's a shame that he's guilty by association with Bonds because he played on those Giants teams of the late 90s, early 2000s. And it's a shame that Jeff Kent's not going to be recognized for his outstanding work at the position. I mean, he revolutionized the game from his position. I mean, second basemen aren't known for hitting power. They're known as contact guys. But, I mean, Jeff Kent is the staple for power hitting at the position. He's the all-time home run leader, like I said. And, I might be a little biased here because he is a former Survivor great, but he's an MLB great too. More so than Survivor. Way more so. And he should be recognized for it. I believe Kent finished with under 30% of votes this year. So I don't think we'll ever see Jeff Kent in the MLB Hall of Fame. But that's a shame. I think that, regardless of, him being teammates with Bonds, and, there may or may not have been a link there, I don't agree with why he's not in the Hall. I mean, obviously, he's not a first ballot. He's not a Jeter or any of those other middle infielders, but the fact of the matter is Jeff Kent should be a Hall of Famer, and it's a shame that he's not going to be. I can say with pretty much certainty that Jeff Kent won't make it in his next 2 years on the ballot. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the big 3. Bonds, Clemens, and Schilling. And obviously, A-Rod and Ortiz are going to be on there next year. But I think that this whole balloting and voting is an absolute joke. Obviously they cheated, yeah, but it does a complete disservice to these players to not involve them in the Hall of Fame, whether it be for their cheating on the field or their insensitive political comments off the field. All these guys should be in the Hall of Fame. They are legends of the game. They need to be respected like that. That's all I've got. I could talk about this for a while because it gets me pretty riled up, seeing these guys not being respected for perfecting their craft. But that's going to be it for this video, guys. Leave your comments down below what you think should be done with these steroid users and if they should be in the Hall of Fame. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.